All right, we're live. Kimberly, thank you for being on the podcast. How you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure to. We obviously connected via LinkedIn, but you were recently featured on The Fixer as well, which is kind of how the whole thing came about. I was like, wait a minute, I know her, and then went back to LinkedIn and then realized we had talked, and I was like, okay, would love to kind of get into this because there's I stay away from reality TV in general, but there are one or two kind of guilty pleasures that I like to watch. Shark Tank is one of them. Colin always makes fun of me, but there's
Dude, always.
there's
Who
it's
doesn't
like
watch Shark Tank? I mean, everyone.
Oh
yeah,
man.
it's it's a guilty pleasure. But and then when this came on, I was like, okay, never heard of the guy. But obviously he's very impressive with other shows and businesses. And then
Yeah,
I always look for the pet businesses that come on to these shows
sure.
because I'm always interested. So anyway, all that to say, you were on the show, and we'll get into all that a bit later. But if you could tell us a little bit more about Fluffology, because you guys are obviously it's a grooming facility, but you also have the educational aspect of it. So, how'd you get into it? Give us the whole spiel.
Sure, I'd be glad to. Um, so I'm a native of Chicago, living in Los Angeles now. And, 5 years ago, almost to the day, I got a little puppy after not having a dog for over 30 years and was ill prepared, apparently. Becoming a pet parent is maybe equal to or greater than being a human parent at this point in the game. It is very complex. It is a highly judged role. Um, when I had children, we would take them to the park, guys. It was like their stroller, were we keeping them safe? Was I letting them jump on, play gym stuff in the park that was dangerous? Was I talking to somebody and not paying attention to my kids? Those are the types of judgments that parents used to get. Now you go to the dog park with your dog, and it is question after question, opinion after opinion, which, I think is judgment. You let your dog, play in the park and he's intact. That's against rules, all regulation. Yeah, really? Like against whose rules? Like,
Is
so,
that an LA thing though?
oh, you know what? It is an LA thing because I don't think it does happen like in Chicago, because when I do bring Ezra and Finn to the park, it's a whole different vibe. But here it's, why do you have boots on your dog? Don't you know that they breathe through their paws? Uh, you know, can't you keep control of your dog? Or why do you give your dog those treats? Why is it like, first of all, why is it so important for you to judge pet parents? It's because the whole pet parenting arena now is fueled by so many different points of view, from veterinarian care to grooming to how you train your dog to which treats. Do you vax your dog? That is a huge topic now, right? I mean, a lot of
Hmm.
people are moving away from it. Um, at Fluffology, which is a new concept in the grooming space that's anchored by a few canons. So it's stress free. It's less stress. There's some stress once in a while. We attempt to reduce anxiety. We do not kennel. We do not cage, and it's fully transparent. The idea came from myself dropping off Ezra when he was a puppy at in Chicago at a grooming shop that is owned by Oprah Winfrey's former groomer, right? So just to get an appointment, I had to ask 22 neighbors, call 3 times, knock on the door, turn around, pat my head just to get in. So my husband and I were thinking, oh my gosh, it's on the north side of Chicago. This is going to be something fabulous. Well, when we walked in, it was absolutely nothing. It was the same model that's been around forever. Counter up in front, one guy at the counter, all closed off, didn't meet the groomer, didn't meet a bather, was asked no questions, dropped Ezra off at about 8:30 in the morning. And he said that he'd call me around 4:30 to 5:30. And we said, hey, it's really early in the morning. What is going to take all day? It's a puppy fluff for the most part. And, I learned quickly, it's the way the business is run. Not transparent. They cage and kennel. And so they stack appointments. So, they'll wash a dog, then put him in a kennel for a while, let him dry off, put the other dog in the bathtub, right? Then while one dog's lightly drying to reduce drying time, um, they'll swap out. And they just do this in one large room, which is customary, which is chaotic, which causes a ton of anxiety for animals. Let's face it, they don't love what we do to them. It's a necessity. But, it was an experience that left me saying there are so many advancements in pet parenting, from veterinarian care to how you feed your dog, to how you train your dog. Should your dog sleep with you? Should you talk to your dog? Should you ignore your dog? And yet the grooming space is still stuck where it was, at least for me 30 years ago, 35 years ago. And I said, you know what? There's got to be a better way of doing this for grooming. And why isn't anyone paying attention to grooming? I know the big box stores, Petco and all those, they have grooming stations that are not very successful. They do volume and value, right?
Yeah.
So I said, well, it's got to be easier than this. I'm going to do some research, and that's where Fluffology. That's when Fluffology was born. Basic needs from a pet parent, right? So we have this. I go through some R&D for about a year in Chicago because I'm going to open up my first store in Chicago, and I'm going to trade shows during my R&D to learn more about the industry, to learn more of everything that I possibly could around grooming, hygiene, skin, coat. Where does it fit in the priority of pet parenting? So I met a couple of gentlemen at a trade show, and we got to talking, and they said, oh, we love your idea. We just love it. So they moved from Ohio to Chicago, and we do about a year and a half of R&D. And I'm not quite sure why, because I'm not sure what takes that long to figure out what color your logo should be. But these guys were consultants. They had been in the pet business for many, many years. I move them out to Chicago. We do some R&D, and we cannot find a space. We're getting ready to really drill down on the concept. And so I switch gears, and I end up opening in Los Angeles. So where we have a 6,000 square foot facility with
Why LA? Why did you go from Chicago? Out of all the places you could have made a jump, that's a far distance to cover.
Well, Colin, I love California, and I love Californians because they have so many opinions. But I think that in California in general, grasping new concepts is sometimes a little easier. And this is really out of the box kind of concept. We really can't find nationwide another player that's doing what we do and how we do it, which is resonating and working well. So I just thought that California would be one of those places that would be more welcoming to the concept, maybe quicker. And so now we're here, and now we're growing a huge fan base, and so we are going to probably stay here for a little bit longer, for a few more stores before we go to our final sort of goal here, which is franchising. Don't tell Marcus Lemonis. He doesn't really want to work in California, and many others. But we're going to get past that challenge. That hurdle's on the bottom of my challenge list this week.
Nice.
I have just a quick one. So many might not even know what the basic concept is. when they go into a grooming facility, but can you explain what it is? What are some things that are a differentiator that you, in that year and a half of R&D that you did, that you came up with? It's like, okay, this is what we're going to do different than what the average player in the business is doing.
Right. And there are so many.
Yeah. You don't have to go through the whole thing, but just a few
Right.
things to get an idea.
So transparency was the number one thing on my list to solve for. You wouldn't take your children to a pediatrician and have them go with the doctor, close the door, hang out in the lobby for a while, or get a call 4 hours later. You just wouldn't. And so transparency was important to solve for. And how did I solve for it? We built these, literally they're glass structures. You can see in them. Parents can hang out or watch. And everything that's being done to your pet is being done right in front of you. And they're individual. I think that chaos and anxiety and the model that's used industry wide for the most part is that one large room. And when your dog's shaking to go into a groomer or on the way home is shaking, because not only is it going through an experience that they don't like, your pet or your cat, but it's been chaotic, and the stimulation affects their system as well, right? So I said, all right, we need to bring this down. So transparency and one-on-one, from bath to putting the bows on, is one person. That was another big. The grooming industry, starting from the top, is very transient in many ways. And it's transient because grooming shop owners do not advocate for their own stylists. They keep the books, or they keep all of the like scheduling components away, right? And pricing components. And there's usually one person at check-in, and then all the staff is behind that, right? They often don't meet. I never met a groomer that ever groomed Ezra 4 times in a row. I never met the person. You would ask to meet the groomer, but they were always busy. So my take on it was to simplify the process of being a pet parent when it comes to grooming and nutrition. And how do you do that? Relative information, customer experience. So from the time you walk into Fluffology, it's a whole different vibe. It is not a little tiny, stinky, smelly shop. Not dark. It's light. Think like Apple meets the grooming industry. It's got a cool vibe. We have 6,000 feet. There's music played everywhere. It's light. It's bright. There's always something going on. We have receptionists, but the stylists come out and they meet you. They know you. They shake your hand. Your first consult happens in their suite, and you meet and greet, and we advocate that relationship with our stylists and our customers, because that's where the trust begins. It's not going to the same shop that earns trust alone. It is the person that gets to know your pet, their issues, whatever it is. We're big advocates of it. So we allow our stylists to do a lot of their own scheduling, and we definitely advocate for them to become a relationship. And that's really big. That's different, because mobile groomers, for example, and we know many, don't even know what they what the charges are for the pet that they just finished, because it's all done through like a central scheduling and POS system, right? And they don't get a lot of time to spend with their clients, because they bring the dog to the van or the cat to the van, and then because it's all volume, right? So they got to get back on the road. They got to get back on the road. They got to get back on the road. We take one pet at a time. We communicate throughout the process. She's doing fine. He's doing fine. Stuff like that. We do these micro wellness checks from head to tail. We also employ full-time a director of grooming and education who's a nationally certified master groomer. Not many around. I poached her from Arizona. She's an amazing team member, full of knowledge. She really has trained our stylists to be top notch. And I value her. And she's great in customer service. She's done like 4 podcasts in the last month. She's just kind of gotten super popular. And she just knows the answers, simple answers. So transparency, education, the culture, my groomers have all been with me since we opened. Big difference, guys. I gloss over that, but groomers don't like what the shop owner says 1 minute, and they go, all right, I'm dipping out, and they just leave. They just leave. Our culture at Fluffology is super cool. We did lose one, and I will tell you, we did lose one. Ironically, right after the fixer.
That's not surprising.
Which, we can talk about.
That's you insert something with such publicity and such stress like as like a big TV production, it's bound to have some ripple effects.
Yeah, and the overwhelming opinion when asked, professionals, my staff, my friends, my family, even some customers, the answer was, I don't know. Like, because you don't know. Like, reality, like, what's it going to do? How's it going to do it?
Yep.
Yeah, I would probably have preferred to stay away from it, but I did it. It was interesting. I don't think I'll ever be doing it again.
Yeah.
Not sure the upside, other than for the creators and producers. And I like Marcus. He's great. So yeah, we're 2.5 years old. We're not even yet. We're like 2 years and 4 months. We, I think, are going to have our banner month in gross sales this month, which is exciting and just makes it worth it. And we have about 6,000 or 7,000 customers. And so we are getting ready to think and contemplate about our next steps as a business.
Yeah.
We still have systems that need to be fixed. There's no doubt about it. And to take unhealthy systems to your next store is probably not a good idea. So we're working on a few of those. And, I think we've made pretty much all the mistakes you can make opening up a business as a founder. But I think we're definitely very close to perfecting a model that we feel comfortable to take with us to the next store. And I love it. I mean, we work with like happy people, cats and dogs. We work in a great vibe. And we don't kill ourselves in terms of how many dogs we take, because we're not volume-based business. We are, we're not, I know we're called a luxury brand, but I think our business model and the way we do things should be accessible to everybody. And so I'm trying to move away from that, label. We're not luxury. Believe it or not, we're a necessity. We're just approaching it very differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing out here in North Hollywood, California. Another maybe not so great decision.
I mean, it's working. Sales are happening. About to have a banner month, so it may have just been a tougher start, locate with the location you chose, but
it is definitely a little challenging. I mean,
why did you decide to add a educational component to it versus just doing a grooming facility?
Good question. Our core business is grooming, right? Cats and dogs. But our second core business has become nutrition, where we make most of our own chews and treats on site. The education component came in.
How do you do that?
In I'm the recipe creator. I'm
Okay.
also studying for my canine nutrition certificates. So I research, I come up with a bunch of recipes. We have a huge kitchen. And so we have dehydrators and we have
Wow.
Oh wow.
freeze dryers. Yeah, it's fun
You're like a
actually.
co-op.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, jeez.
No,
That's
it's really
crazy.
fun. They're our biggest sellers, of course, because the recipes that aren't on the shelves everywhere else. They're our private label, which is also growing,
Hmm.
and it's fun. My dude made bison meatballs, freeze dried meatballs, really healthy, as single ingredient as I can keep it,
Yeah.
and fully transparent and low in calories because I believe in giving lots of treats to your dogs and cats
Yes.
for
Yeah.
being, they love food. You can get them to do whatever you want with a meatball.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you've got the grooming, you've got the educational
Yep.
part, you've got the treats, you've got the private label.
Yes, we do. We do.
Okay.
And it's just private label, a small line of supplements because it takes me a very long time to, you know, decide on the ingredients
Hmm.
and their effectiveness. You get a lot of different. It takes a long time to research what turmeric really does for your dog, and so it's important to me. The education, why we ended up in a 6,000 square foot facility, which most people can't even fathom or understand, and then if the layperson can't, investors can't. They're like, "What are you doing in 6,000 feet? What else can you be doing?" Like, so a large portion of it was supposed to be dedicated to education.
Hmm.
So educating groomers to pipe feed for our next stores because we do have a philosophy and a methodology that is different than say Paragon Grooming School or ABC Grooming School, right? And so what we wanted to do is indoctrinate our young groomers, stylists, come on board, learn our way, right? Kind of like the Mario Tricoci or Aveda hair concepts, right? Or Vidal Sassoon, right? Uh, they all taught or teach their stylists and then you work for them in the other locations. And so I thought that instead of trying to hire groomers that have not been fully trained, by the way, we can talk about that. There's no licensing or oversight for grooming,
Right.
right? You actually don't even need any formal training, which was crazy when I found out. So we were thinking that we want to home grow our stylists in a certain way and not choose them from like we get applications all day long from groomers that are mobile grooming and are exhausted or from Petco or whatever, and it's really tough for us to consider those folks as candidates because you know what, like anything else, you're undoing kind of bad habits or they're used
Yeah.
to a certain culture, and then it's a big disruption for them. But if they are groomers, and we have a couple that have come over. They go through a graduate program with Liz, and Liz has got a whole curriculum, and she works with them on off hours, and she gives them an assessment test. I mean, like we take our trade and our craft very seriously um, for many many reasons, right? So that's where the education has came in, Roy. And Liz is single-handedly really spearheading that. I don't think at this point we're going to go full-blown to the Fluffology Institute of Grooming because now, when I first opened, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to groom. I'm going to cook. I'm going to educate. I'm going to like entertain. I'm going to have all this going on. And at the end of the day, it actually just pared itself down to what I think the brand should be about. a more focus on a couple of cores versus just, trying to
Endless
like,
expansion.
yeah, you see that these boarding, so there's like hotels, the canine hotels and so forth, they have grooming, they have daycare, they have agility training, they have, overnight boarding. And it's like a facility where folks are trying to do it all. I see a new one that just opened up in New York, and it's beautiful. It's fantastic, but like they're doing everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, it's hard to do everything. It's hard to be the best at everything.
Yeah. It really, I think like some of the initial things that stood out to me with Fluffology, was like the aesthetic choice of a grooming shop. So it is like very like a lot of just transparency, like literally with all the glass choice and
That's
bringing a
right.
lot of light in. It almost feels like, being in New York for 10 years, it almost feels like a little, I mean, 6,000 square feet isn't little, but it feels like a little boutique shop in like Soho. Like it's very elegant. It's very elevated, which is not synonymous with grooming in general. And so I think like the treat bar is like a really cool accent piece, and it's integrated into like the whole experience. And so I think a lot of things that you're highlighting are, there's a process of which you're doing these one-on-ones, you're meeting the groomer, you could see how everything's going down. You're also in a very well curated manicured space, which offers like fresh ingredients. You want to reward your pet. There's a lot of things are an extension and like play into the overall experience of grooming, which I think is really cool. And it is like less about I would beg to make the argument that it's like the folks who do tend to, drop out of facility where there's boarding, daycare, grooming, and they do the whole kit and caboodle. It's like
Mm.
they're more about value and convenience, whereas I think the clientele that you're servicing, and this is like my hypothesis, would be more about people who are wanting that like focused experience. There's so much experience baked into this where they feel like, like you're saying with pet parents, there's so much judgment. Like imagine all those people bringing that to the forefront of like, I just want to make sure that this is like a completely fear-free experience. Like they're being rewarded. It's a fun thing, even though it is a necessity for most dogs to like,
Right.
actually go see a groomer. So I think really leaning into that, like, again, that experience aspect really to me is what like really stands out as a differentiator. And I think that will be, it seems like you have a lot of great pillars and you've kind of like found your sauce in a lot of ways. I think like, especially if you need like a 6,000 square foot space and like you're doing the franchising, that will be the interesting rub. I
Yep.
think the concept and stuff is fantastic.
Right.
But like, that's crazy. That's like, as you saw, Roy and I were like, whoa, you have a dehydrator and kitchen, and you're like, that's
Oh, yeah, we've got
unheard of,
plenty of space.
Yeah,
Yeah, you guys should move
it's
in.
crazy.
You
Yeah.
guys should do a full studio, man.
Do some
We
rental units out there,
Oh,
Yeah.
we
or
got
some like studio, or like
I
shared
mean,
workspace.
well,
Yes.
the grooming spaces legitimately look like tiny homes, like little ADUs. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
look like they're really cool. So
No,
yeah, I don't know.
they are
By
actually
the way, a shared workspace where you can play with the dogs is just finished grooming. I think that's a concept that
That's
is
it's like a new ASMR.
yeah.
So,
It's like a
Yeah.
Well-
I won't even charge you for the idea. You can just take it.
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We were looking for that, Roy. Thank you. That's amazing. Well, so we look and feel differently, guys, for sure.
yeah.
But there are a lot of things behind the scenes that you have to understand that we are definitely, we are advocates of, for not only pet parents but for the pets. For instance, we are all CPR certified.
Nice.
It's really important. So I actually saved Ezra's life knowing how to do it. Right?
Wow.
Most pet parents don't even think about it. But even if you like babysit your neighbor's dog for a couple of days, or you have a cat, or it's important, and it doesn't take that long. But we're all we're all CPR certified. We also have emergency protocols in place. Each suite has, like an emergency 911 bag, right?
Yeah.
First aid kits that have everything in the event that something that, we have an incident.
Yeah.
The way the suites are set up is 3 points, so you always have a hand on the dog. There are things that, and so pet parents understand that. So we're very serious about the health, welfare, safety of the pet. But a lot of parents love that we don't kennel or cage, and that there aren't other dog. My dog doesn't have to come in, doesn't have to interact with another dog.
Yeah.
So a lot with rescues going up, a lot of rescue dogs are aggressive in the beginning, or the pet parent that owns him is a little afraid, like, well, I just got him, I only had him a couple of months, he's had a couple incidents like in the park, so I'm not quite sure. They love that they can bring in their dog, check in, their stylist talks, and Bella goes straight to a suite, no interaction with other dogs. They don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that. Senior dogs as well, our tables go all the way down to the ground. We are very gentle with senior dogs. We take time. We let them sit down. And so we have a lot of senior dogs. So we are not, like I said, we're not volume based. We're experience based. And vax. If your dog's never had a vaccination, we don't really care, because
Yeah.
we won't let your dog or cat come in contact with any other animal.
Yeah.
We have like disinfectant protocols. We are so clean and so disinfected at Fluffology that people come in and they go, okay, what do you guys do here? Even though they see animals like on a table, clearly, we just say, hey, what do you want to do here?
Yeah.
And we're community based, and grooming is an uber hyper local referral basis.
Yeah.
And we have the same customers that come in all the time. They hang out, they sit down. One of them brings us coffee cake on Saturdays. So we really are sort of redefining the community based grooming and just hang space. And we do what's important too, because
Yeah.
most people think that grooming is low on the priority as pet parents. Certainly in the investor world, guys.
Yeah.
Grooming
It's
is like anybody can groom. It's got a low barrier of entry, high turnover. Let's face it, their dogs, all they need is a bath every once in a while. It's been a hurdle. It's been a challenge. I actually thought it was going to be a lot easier, sort of like Las Vegas. Build it and they'll invest.
They'll come.
Yeah. Not really. Not,
Yeah.
it's
I
not
feel like in the pet space, there's just been so many, like you mentioned in the very beginning of this, like as you became a pet parent and you became very hyper aware of like the amount of different dog food types there are is like, feels like it's ever growing. The protein choices are ever growing. Like that's just in the food category. And you could do the same thing across like a lot of categories. And now some are very antiquated versus others, such as grooming. And a lot of it is because it's so hyper local, right? Like you definitely have some of your franchises that are coming in and trying to do like subscription models, like that's their big ticket or differentiator, like operations, right? And like, but you're coming in from an experience standpoint and you're kind of just like refreshing the model more or less, and like all those different touch points. So a lot of times I feel like in that case, you're just people who are investing in the pet space. I mean, let's just say people who are not like dedicated pet investors, people who want a piece of the pet portfolio. It's gonna, I could see it being a harder sell because they want to know what's proprietary. They want to know what is like, defensible, all these things. And when it starts to come about like emotions and as a pet parent and like, this is how you feel in this experience, it's like, I could see people wanting to shy away from that. but I think it is super important. It's like funny. I even jokingly, Roy and I always talk about like ideas, and I jokingly said something to him like, "Oh, should I open up like a grooming shop that, because Roy and I only have short haired dogs, which I bathe them and I clip their nails most of the time
No,
myself."
no, you don't
Yeah,
do that. No.
I do. I do. I'm that person. Only because the one of them, they're both rescues from Austin Pug Rescue Austin. Only because one of them needs so heavily sedated to do it. And it's just so tough that I'm like, all right, I it is so stressful for him that I can't bring myself to do it.
Right.
So anyways,
Understood.
like I was saying like I think it's such a big opportunity, and like you could even get so specialized where I was like you could do something where it's just for short-haired dogs, right? Because like they need a very different treatment than a lot of like like Ezra, who's got a
Oh,
whole coat,
sure.
a whole
Sure.
So all I have to say is like I think there's a lot of avenues that you could go down in this route, and so it definitely takes people who understand the category and can have like a vision of that, and also understand like where the U.S. dog population is and like what all those opportunities are.
Right.
But all that being said, I would be very curious. Like I know you kind of mentioned 6,000 to 7,000 clients, and you're not. I mean, it is a lot, but you're not necessarily focused on volume. So like, what is the bulk of those clients look like? Like you could be, dog type or package that they typically buy, or is it
Mhm.
like a treat
Mhm.
thing as well? Like walk us
Mhm.
through what are those kind of like top sellers for you, and what do those clients look like?
Sure. We have again, we try to simplify it, and we quote pricing, and a lot of shops don't quote pricing. But this is how it works. We have puppies are our first package, and it's very simple. We want your puppy in as early as possible. 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and they come in, and it's just sort of like it's a bath and a little blow dry, and we put the scissors around them just to let them listen to it, right? We trim their little faces. Sometimes they're just this big, right?
Yeah.
And we just get them used to the blow dryer, and it's very easy, very simple. It's like $45. I mean, it's a great price. And then you go up like $10 each month, because we want you to come in when you buy a dog or puppy, or you rescue a puppy and you wait 2 years. That's where all of that anxiety comes from, right? So then we have we have haircut breeds, and then we have short hair D-sheds, which is the category you guys are in, and then
Yep.
we have double coat D-sheds. And then we have the haircut breeds that are alternated. They alternate with like what we call a bath and a tidy in between the haircuts. So we do have pricing schedules for the basic, all the basic coat types, right? But even your short hair Chihuahuas, like even they still need to be bathed on a regular basis for a variety of reasons, whether you're doing it at home or having a groomer do it. Some people just think, oh, I have a Chihuahua, like I hardly ever bathe her. Well, that's great. She's out on the street, she's in parks, then she's in your house, and her coat needs to be stimulated. It does need to be really brushed out. She needs certain things cleaned, her ears, her nails, whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have all these fun packages, and we do them by breed, coat, and then weight. That's sort of how we make sense of our universe, right?
Yeah.
We
Makes
weigh
sense.
your dog. When you come, if new clients, we're like at 120 new clients a month. Thanks to
Wow.
Meta and Google. But listen, if they bring them to us, we have to close the deal, right, and keep them as
Right.
customers. So yeah, we have those packages for doggies and for cats, and cats are a huge business.
Really?
We've done lots of cat campaigns about how and why. Again, cat owners often, not a lot, but often think that their cat doesn't need a bath because they clean themselves.
Yeah.
But they don't have soap on their tongues, and till we can figure that out, they're not really cleaning themselves. You know, they're licking themselves and then they're ingesting the pollution in here and stuff. And the old joke is, oh, I had a hairball in my throat.
Yeah.
Well, that's a serious thing with cats. So our
Yeah.
cat business is off the hook.
Gotta wash out all the LA smog.
Yeah, even and then we have the same packages, Colin, that we do for the dogs. So you know, they're kittens, and then there's short
Yeah.
hair, long to medium. You can do a bath or no bath. See, that's the difference with cats.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are not going to give them a bath. We have 2 certified groomers that do cats at our place, and it's great.
Guessing they're tougher.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even go in a suite that has a cat in it being in a bathtub, because they're really well trained for that. Sometimes they wear like you know, like they wear like certain protective arm gloves and stuff. But for the most part, if the cat is booked for a bath, say the owner says, "Listen, you got to get him in the bathtub," and then you know, blow him out and cut him. If the cat is just not going to tolerate the bath, we're on the phone with you real quick, saying, "Hey, listen, you just have to regroup here, man. Your cat's just because your cat can't tolerate it. It's not about it, it's also about the safety of the stylist. But if an animal's not going to tolerate a service, they're just not going to do it.
Yeah,
you know? We're not one of those
totally.
groomers that are just going to like strap the cat in the bath and have
to turn the hose on.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So, and most pet parents respect that.
Yeah.
You know? We give free brushing out classes, you know, because a lot of, you know, doodles are our number one customer every
okay.
We do more haircut breeds or haircuts than any other package, but followed by the double coat D-sheds. You know, a lot of husky owners, you know, it's funny, you know, like, when was your last bath? I don't know, about a year ago. And so we get the husky on the table and we de-shed them, and it's like 2 inches of snow, you know, on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, because it's double coat hair. And if you don't pull that hair out, then the new coat just grows over the old coat again and again and again. And that creates skin and coat problems. Again, we are the first responders as groomers. We touch your dog once a month, usually 6 weeks, more than any other service provider. Unfortunately, we catch lumps, and we catch, you know, we bumps and, you know, scabbed areas or lesions. You know, we put that in our report, and then not only do we put it in our report for you as a pet parent, but when you come in to get your pet, we talk about it.
Yeah.
And we can give you some solutions. Hey, sometimes it's like, hey, you need to get to a vet. You know?
Yeah.
Or we've had to like say, listen, you know, pet's getting so old and his rear legs are really shaking. So we'd like you to bring him in less frequently. Like, we know you come in every 6 weeks. Let's stretch it to 8 because he just really can't tolerate it. Now, that doesn't help grow sales, but it helps you as a pet parent. And that's what Fluffology is more about, man. I mean, we're not the most convenient, like, deal in town. A lot of people, even though we tell them, new clients, we have phone consult with them. We don't kennel, we don't cage. So we give you whatever time you need to get back here, and you got to pick up your little guy. Well, you know, the most common way is that you drop your dog off at 8:00 in the morning, and if you can't get there when it's done, you know, the groomer will say, "Oh, that's all right. We can wash him. We'll hang out." Your dog's either hanging out with other dogs or in a kennel. So it's not the most convenient, because, like, if you're going to drop your dog and go to work and then you get stuck on a Zoom and, like, you know, Fluffology's like dinging you every 5 minutes. Hey, you know, Fifi's ready. Hey, Fifi's come get Fifi. You know, it's like, it can be. So we've had that, you know, a couple of times where life happens. So what we do is, of course, we personally hold your dog for you. Like, in my office, I'll take a dog, you know, and hang out with them until mom or dad gets here.
That's awesome.
So it's
I want to make a I want to make a quick U-turn to. We talked about this a little bit in the beginning, and I have to ask, but I want to talk a little bit and touch a little bit on the whole Fixer thing. So again, you were on the show, the Fixer. It's kind of like I don't know. It's not exact. It's not Shark Tank where you go and you pitch, although there is that component in the beginning of the show where you kind of pitch the product, service, business that you have, and then Marcus, I forget how many, I think he chooses one per episode, right? And then the episode is him following the business, going to see the business, looking at the numbers, seeing if, and at the end of the show, if he kind of likes everything that he sees, and if he likes the founders, he makes some sort of an investment. And the entire show is essentially, it's, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. And he has a whole back and forth. He's fixing the business. He's giving you tips. Obviously, it's reality TV, so they have to sensationalize it and, all those weird edits that they like to do for reality TV. We have a lot of founders that kind of reach out and, or even when they're just talking about us, they're like, oh, like maybe I'll go to Shark Tank. And I'm always curious I know Shark Tank has, whenever the show airs, the episode airs, then it's like, boom, right? Sales go through the roof for an extended period of time. Sometimes it's just that period, and sometimes it's a real boost for the business because afterwards investors are like, oh my God, like it's doing so well. It was on Shark Tank. You got investment from this shark. So overall, it's a big boon for that company. Just wondering, how was that experience for you on the Fixer? Again, I know it was 45 minutes. I don't know what the time span was for you, right, to kind of do all that shooting. I'm assuming it was months or less or more. I don't know exactly how long. But yeah, I would just like to kind of get your take on the overall experience. Did you like it? Would you recommend this other founders do something similar?
Okay, yeah, sure. The Fixer. The Fixer is kind of like Shark Tank, but it's all sharks, no tank. And they came to us. So, we're juggling and putting out fires every single day, as a new business. And our PR team calls and says, hey, listen, there's a casting company in LA. They want to talk to you. I said, about what? They said, about a reality TV show. I said, nope, not going to do it. For a variety of reasons. I don't watch reality like you. I haven't even watched Shark Tank in years. Just not into reality. I have too much reality during the day.
Yeah.
So they said, no, come on, just think about it. At least talk to them. This could be big. This could be big. So long story short, they promised the stars and the moon that this new show was not like Marcus's previous show, which was called The Prophet. And I like Marcus. Like, I like his, I like where he came from. I've not known him, but I've watched The Prophet before. And, my husband has an RV with his buddies, and he gets it serviced that, he's like 1 out of every 25 out of every 100 RVs sold, he sells, right? Or services. So, he's a smart guy. So they said it's not like The Prophet, and it's designed to elevate your business, as opposed to putting me out of business. I said, so you gotta forgive me, I don't really like reality. And they said, well, just bring your team, come out to New York and at least pitch the show. So we did. We went out to New York, and he comes out, and you see a little bit of that in the show. And he picks us, and he says, okay, we'll see you next week in LA. And he does, man. And he comes out, and he with talk about, you wanted to know 44 minutes condensed into time, Roy? 3 months, I think, of filming. And they want everything up and running. They don't want anything special because they want to meet customers, right? They want, to do all that stuff. So it's like 3 months on and off. They come with a huge crew, and there are cameras everywhere, and all of your customers have to sign waivers or releases in case they're on camera. Some days when they were there, we had to like call people to say, listen, you might be on camera. If that's a problem, you have to reschedule. But at the end of the day, it is a complete business takeover. You do not get a schedule ahead of time. You're just like, all right, Kimberly and Rick, Marcus wants to meet you in 10 minutes in the kitchen. And like, we don't know what Marcus is going to ask, right? We don't know what he's going to approach us on. We don't know if it's going to talk about financials or he's going to do this. It's reality. So they don't have a set, they don't have a set script for sure. There's no script, but like it changes throughout the day, just like it usually does.
Yeah.
Right? So, we shot so much, Roy. We shot so much great stuff.
That never made the cut.
Never made the cut.
Yeah.
And in fact, they're so good psychologically at what they do. These producers, at the end of every shoot day, you need to stand and do an interview, right? And one of the questions would be like, Kimberly, today Marcus made you take all of your retail off the shelves and put it on the floor. We know how long and hard you've worked at selecting the best, products, and how long it takes you to even vet, a product to be on your shelf. How did that make you feel today? And I was like, fuck, it wasn't selling, man. He was right. I got some of that stuff's been on my shelves since day one. Yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't make it in it. Like they want, that never even made it in the show,
Yeah.
I mean, like all the stuff as team members that we said good about each other, nothing. I mean, it was, so you edit.
They want the friction. They want the tears, they want something they can put in the commercial.
Yep. You sign your life away. I recently, my landlord texted me yesterday saying, hey, I just saw you in a commercial. And I was like, oh, is it a ZipRecruiter commercial? And he said, yeah. So apparently, I know it's called integration.
Yeah.
But I shot a couple of commercials not knowing I was shooting a commercial. And so my girlfriend was watching the tennis channel. And she said, hey, I just saw your ZipRecruiter commercial.
That's so crazy.
It was interesting. I did one for QuickBooks as well. So I'm glad they're getting a lot of play. I'll get my royalty check never.
Yeah.
But the experience is tough. It's tough. I don't know if I would recommend it to any small businesses, and I surely wouldn't recommend it. And this was my apprehension, guys, was that I'm a new fragile brand. I can't go on a show and have Marcus tell us what like assholes we are. Like, it's just not going to help. And we had some fallout, and I'm still receiving every once in a while. I get like a lovely hate email or a hate tweet.
Yeah,
that's the weirdest thing when people go out of their way to let you know how they feel about something that happened on some TV show. It's like, dude, get a job.
That's the internet, man. That's just it's a good point. Is like they essentially got to like tell your story like as an introduction to your brand to a degree, which is like, as a young fragile brand, like that's probably the hardest pill to swallow, is like they're getting to like control the narrative, which isn't, which is for them just pure entertainment and emotion versus like any kind of like focus on what you're trying to do, especially as a new brand. So that's tough.
Yeah, I met with Marcus before the show aired, and I said, I'm really getting anxious, Marcus. I said, I hope you didn't make us look like idiots, because he has full editing control. He's one of the producers. So he said, listen, it's reality, Kimberly. You signed up for it. And I said, oh, no. I might have signed up for it. You guys like convinced me to do it. I did, because there were like 8,000 applicants from small businesses that applied across the nation. I didn't even know it. I didn't apply. So I said, hey, listen, just like take it easy on like the community, take it easy on the neighborhood, because he hammered a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
hammered, why would you open up here? This is a luxury brand in a non-lux market, whatever, blah blah blah. So, I said, he, be fair, be kind. I'm a new brand. I said, don't put me out of business. And like he laughed. But at the end of the day, full editing control, it. They can, you're mic'd from the
Yeah.
time you walk in, good morning, to the time they leave, which is sometimes 9-10 o'clock at night. I mean, they work hard. But, I wouldn't, he said, and he told me, listen, you take a lot of hits in the beginning, Kimberly, I'll tell you that. He goes, but by the end, he goes, I think it looks really, really good for you. I was like, oh, okay, great. So yeah, I took a lot of hits. It makes it. Did you guys see the show?
I saw the episode. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I watched all of it. I can't remember if I even remember how it ended, to be honest.
Well,
yeah, he makes an investment at the end.
Spoiler
Right?
alert! It ends like every other fucked up show. With me being, an unempathetic, insensitive, profit driven, inexperienced
Cold.
business owner who doesn't know how to treat her staff. That was the overwhelming, I think, takeaway from the show, which we had some clients ask their stylist, hey, we saw the show last night. Is she paying you? Do you get to keep your tips? I mean, whatever.
It's a hard one to fight.
Would you say overall it was a boon to the business? Like overall, with the exposure that you got, with his help and his advice, and I think he ended up investing at the end. Correct me if I'm wrong, but with just the whole thing, would you say that was a net positive?
I think so we were prepared. So what we did was before we launched, on the 25th the show ran, we prepared for an uptick in business. We prepared for an uptick in web and social media visits, right? And all of that occurred. We had a surge, right? I mean, we had thousands of people going to our website. We actually opened up our phone lines to make sure that when calls were coming in, just to have questions. But I would say that I think social media wise, we got a lot of responses. We got a lot of positive responses. If they were negative, it was from people that haven't owned businesses or aren't business owners. Because if you're a business owner, you get the whole program. In terms of like an uptick in business, I did not see it. I saw a lot of inquiries, but remember, it's a national show. So we had to wait until people locally watched it on Hulu. So we got all that initial traffic and all that initial buzz, and we got some phone calls from like KTLA, hey, you want to comment on being on the Fixer? I'm not commenting. I'm commenting with you guys now because it's much further down the road. But we have had locals and people that were thinking about coming in that kind of live out that 5-mile radius to ask to meet me. Like, is Kimberly here? Is Kimberly here? Like, I'm mostly so I get radioed because we communicate. By the way, we communicate on safety radios and things like that for assist. And so I'm like, who is it? I don't know, my receptionist. I don't know. It's a couple of people that saw you on the show and they just want to meet you. They're in town. So, kind of fun stuff like that.
That's hilarious.
And, clients from just saying, hey, we saw the show. Don't do it again, Weiner. Or, hey, it was great. It was great. Because they know us, right? But it didn't move the needle, Roy. I wouldn't say, and because I think it puts us my team would never sign up to do another. They'll walk if I ever signed them for another reality show, number one. Because what they do is they pit each other. They were trying to pit them against one another, which I found out later. And I think that it didn't move the needle, and because it's not didn't put us in a great light.
Yeah.
I'm apprehensive about even telling investors that I talked to that, hey, we were on the Fixer. Marcus Lemonis found us important enough as a new concept to be on the show. Yeah. If I do, they typically get it. Like it's a reality show, but he hammers my, my funding
Financials.
methods, and he hammers my, my shortfall, and enough. Like I already explained that when I'm talking to somebody, but we're finally at break even. 2.5 years. It's less than 2.5 years. So it's a business that's definitely on the upward trajectory to begin with. The challenge is convincing investors that grooming is a wide open territory and needs a lot of help, and needs to actually grow much more than where I'm even at right now. I need to continue to flesh out processes that are more important and will work better in a grooming environment, just because it's the mom and pop shops of the way of doing grooming. It just isn't resonating with our today's new pet parent that are more like human parents than ever before.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of that, right? We're seeing a lot of like couples moving into each other with each other, and they're engaged, but they're going to get a dog. They're going to try it out. They get new puppies all the time. So we have, our clients are everywhere. They're single, they're married, they have 1 dog, 2 dogs, but they all have something in common. They all want a personal experience, and they all want to know that their dog is going to be safely groomed in and out, like not in a way that is complicated for them, or not fully disclosed. And that's what we see. We see the customer experience, and we see that they love this transparency of what we're doing with their pet. Some pet parents actually grab a couple of chairs and sit outside of the grooming suite. My stylists love that. But we
Meet us up at a little coffee station.
We welcome you to it. Yeah. And so we're working towards our second store, and we have a franchise model under development, because I want to make this accessible. We want to be, there's no national player in the business doing it like we do. And I think that we're going to roll them out, and I think we're going to be successful at it.
Very cool.
We better be.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. That's the attitude.
All right. Well, this was very eye-opening. We appreciate your time, and I know obviously you guys are all over social with Fluffology, but is there anywhere where you're active and where people can connect with you?
No, I hide. I'm hiding. I am
under the couch.
I'm not very. I'm always around. I'm not that active on social media. Like I said, I'm now. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm trying to be active there, but be thoughtful, not to just wake up and have like some consciousness, stream of consciousness, or after I've had a bourbon or two. Yeah.
Sometimes those do the best.
You know what? Friends don't let friends like get on social media after drinking. I have a lock on my laptop after 2 bourbons. There's no reason to let your daily frustrations loose on LinkedIn. LinkedIn. Social. We're always follow us on Instagram, and we made it to 4,000 followers on TikTok.
Nice.
And so you can find some fun stuff there. And if you're ever in the area, North Hollywood, just stop by. We have free treats all the time. And we love cats and dogs and people too. And we're trying to get to Santa Monica. So look for us there soon.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, yeah, thanks for being transparent and sharing your story and coming on the podcast. We had a lot of fun, and we'll keep an eye on any future any future things that are happening. And yeah, thanks again.
No problem. No worries. And thanks for having me. But I do have to tell you, I love your newsletter, man. I just love everything about it.
We appreciate that.
I love the articles. I love the, I don't know where you find your content, but it's super relative because you'll say something.
We can't share our sources.
That's okay. I understand. Good journalist. But like,
We're gonna do an episode with Marcus about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Just kidding.
I know some of the companies that you'll talk about merging or funding or things like that, and I find the information in the industry truly informative and relative. So and sort of all in one place. And Colin, I like your your tone, your attitude, and your pitch towards your interview styling. Your interview style is great. And so just a shout out to you guys. Keep doing it, and I enjoy it.